to, you get privilege, you don't have to work as hard, you can slack off in jobs and still get promoted and still not have to worry about somebody coming after you. So whiteness to me is about privilege and access to information systems and people and power that you didn't earn.
I went through a time where I was poor and I had to take care of my father, and I worked with about 100 African American men, and I was the only white male on the shop floor, and I was really horrible at this job. It was a metal grinder. I'd grind too much of it, I'd make big indentations, I was constantly messing up, and I was sure I was going to get fired. It was just a matter of time. And about 6 months into the job, the boss and a few of the managers come over. They're all white men, and I thought, this is it, this is the day I'm getting fired. And they came over and told me that they've had their eye on me and they think that I'm management material. I said, what? And they said, yeah, you stick around for a while and we think you've got potential to be a manager here.
And this might be a controversial opinion. People might not like this opinion, but I do think that black people now are still experiencing ripple effects of Jim Crow, slavery, pre-civil rights era, and also other forms of segregation and discrimination. I think that there are ripple effects of that now. Let me give you one example. And if you agree with this, that's fine. If you don't agree with this, that's fine. There are almost no black people in America that have had more than 2 or 3 generations of people that were properly educated because of segregation. I think that growing up in a family that speaks proper English, that understands the English language, gives you a tremendous insurmountable advantage over people who don't. So that's one example.
You non-white people in this country can't seem to wrap your heads around the fact that white people in this country are grieving. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you the 5 stages of grief that white people in America have been going through since Obama was elected. The first stage is denial. And this happened right when Obama was first elected into office. We can't be racist. We elected a black man to serve as our president, even though I voted for the other guy. Twice. The second stage is anger. Holy shit! A black guy won again! Oh no! The third stage is bargaining. What do you mean Black Lives Matter? Don't all lives matter? The fourth stage is depression. Stop calling me racist. That's not nice when you call me racist. It hurts my feelings when you call me racist for doing the racist stuff that I do. And the fifth stage brings us to today, where we are right now. Acceptance. And I'm looking at you, Emily Saves the World, you piece of shit. Just openly supporting white supremacy. A restaurant opens, is being called out for white supremacy, and that makes you want to go there. You just say the quiet part out loud now. And that's where this country is. If it's not grief that white supremacists are experiencing, what else do you call it? I have lived as a straight white male for 39 years in Los Angeles, and I have never seen so many sad boys in my entire fucking life. And now, we're just saying the quiet parts out loud, aren't we? We are just okay with the way the world is, with these ignorant, stupid fucking white people just putting their racism on display. Let me tell you something as a straight white male. If you are a straight white male in this country and you can't get a girlfriend, you can't get a job, you can't pay your bills, you have nobody to blame but yourself. This fucking country was built for you, you fucking loser. And I don't care what state you live in. I know that you people in Arkansas and Alabama have the worst fucking education system in the entire country. But you know what? People in other countries will literally swim here to get half the opportunity that you, a straight white person in this country, have. They will fucking fight tooth and nail. They will leave their friends, their family, everything that they know behind just to survive. And you have nothing but time to make excuses and feel disenfranchised by trans people in your sports, by fucking minorities taking jobs that you would never even fucking apply to. Grow the fuck up. Grow a pair of fucking balls. I'm not here for your comments if you disagree with me. I don't give a fuck about your engagement. I'm right, you're wrong, go fuck yourself.
White people are the problem. They are the problem. White people ain't White people killed Charlie Kirk. White people enslaved nations of people. White people ruined this country. White people, not black people. Black people built this country from the ground up. White people came and ruined it. The Italian mob, the Russian mob, the Irish mob. America was divided before I came and talked to you. Let me ask you. You are sitting here with people who disagree with Trump and you agree with Trump. Yeah. That's division. Freedom of speech. That's division. I didn't divide you. No, you're saying black and white are different. What's the difference? Not. So what's the difference between me saying that and what's his name? Stephen Johnson saying the Democrats are the problem. Is Stephen Johnson not dividing the country politically? 100%. Is Donald Trump not dividing the country politically? 100%. Is his office not dividing the country politically? 100%. So white people are the problem. Not some black man that's sitting out here asking interviews. I'm not dividing the country. White people are dividing the country. Hold on. And to that point, when was America ever united? Hold on. When was America? We haven't been. That's the fucking problem. Whoever. Hold on. Who caused that? Hold on. Who caused that? Fucking white people. Oh.
White people have never even liked each other. And why would they? They're awful. White people love to act like they've built the most advanced, unified civilizations, but history suggests they've spent more time fighting, betraying, and resenting one another than actually working together. They waged wars of brutal conquest against their own neighbors. They divided themselves into endless class hierarchies where even the rich barely tolerated each other. Their royal families intermarried so much they caused genetic disasters rather than share power with outsiders. They built entire nations on the idea that some white people weren't white enough. Even today, their political and social divisions are so extreme that they can barely function as societies. At some point, we have to ask, if white people were truly the standard for human civilization, why have they spent history being their own worst enemy? White people spent most of their history slaughtering each other. The 100 Years' War, white people fighting white people for 116 years. The War of Roses, white nobles slaughtering each other for a throne. The English Civil War, white people fighting over how they should govern themselves. The Napoleonic Wars, France versus the rest of white Europe for nearly 2 decades. World War I and II, white people causing global destruction over their own internal disputes. Meanwhile, non-white societies built systems of cooperation. Many indigenous societies maintained peace through complex alliances and trade networks. African kingdoms built economic coalitions instead of destroying each other over minor grievances. Asian dynasties formed diplomatic marriages and power-sharing agreements to avoid unnecessary war. White people weren't building civilizations. They were just taking breaks between wars. White people's social hierarchies have always been built on hating each other. Medieval Europe was structured so that peasants suffered while nobles hoarded wealth, and they still fought amongst themselves. The Catholic and Protestant schism turned Christianity into an excuse for white people to unalive each other for centuries. Aristocrats in every European country looked down on merchants, who looked down on laborers, who looked down on beggars. Pure misery from top to bottom. Even within the same country, they developed regional and class-based divisions that kept them in constant conflict. They created strict racial hierarchies that excluded certain white groups, such as Irish, Italians, and Slavs, until it became politically convenient to include them. Meanwhile, other cultures built more flexible social systems. Indigenous societies often had communal governance rather than rigid feudalism. African and Middle Eastern cultures allowed for social mobility through trade, skill, and leadership. Asian dynasties promoted scholars and civil servants over bloodline alone. White people weren't uniting society. They were dividing themselves into misery. White people's royal families were too busy betraying each other to maintain stability. European monarchies relied on fragile marriage alliances that constantly collapsed into war. They intermarried so much they gave themselves hemophilia and other genetic disorders. Kings and queens were regularly assassinated, overthrown, and executed by their own relatives. The French, English, and Russian monarchies were all wiped out by their own people out of sheer hatred. Even today, European royal families barely tolerate each other, holding centuries-old grudges. Meanwhile, non-white monarchies maintain stability longer. China's dynastic system lasted for thousands of years, adapting to maintain power. The Ottoman Empire incorporated different ethnic groups rather than just inbreeding its rulers. African kingdoms often had check on royal power through councils and elders. White people weren't ruling effectively. They were playing a generational game of betrayal. White people have never even agreed on who counts as white. The British didn't consider the Irish fully white for centuries. The US didn't consider Italians or Eastern Europeans white until the mid-20th century. The Nazis reclassified entire groups of white people as subhuman when it fit their political agenda. Even today, white people argue over who is truly white based on ancestry, culture, and arbitrary rules. Meanwhile, other cultures didn't waste time on this nonsense. Most non-white societies recognize cultural identity over arbitrary racial purity. Many indigenous groups welcomed outsiders into their communities through marriage or adoption. African, Asian, and Middle Eastern civilizations absorbed new groups rather than excluding them. White people weren't defining race. They were constantly moving the goalposts. Even in the modern day, white people can't get along with each other. Europeans still hold centuries-old grudges against neighboring countries. Americans are politically divided to the point of complete dysfunction. White nationalist groups argue over who is pure enough to join them. Conservatives and liberals within white societies hate each other more than they hate their supposed common enemies. They spend more time fighting over regional accents and cultural differences than actually resolving their problems. Meanwhile, other cultures focus on collective survival. Indigenous communities emphasize cooperation over ideological purity. Non-white resistance movements prioritize shared struggles over minor differences. Black, Latino, and Asian political groups often unify around common causes despite cultural diversity. White people weren't creating stable societies. They were just keeping their infighting interesting. If white people were truly the most advanced societies, why have they spent history at war with themselves? Cope.
White people, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our violence. White violence. No more deflecting, no more blaming everything on everybody else. Let's confront ourselves. White people in America, our history is so extremely violent. And instead of confronting that, we continue to blame other people for the issues and the problems in this country, instead of just taking ownership of our part to play in everything, which is a huge part. Can we stop scapegoating other groups of people, please, and just look at ourselves? White people, it's time to talk about it. Like, it's long past time. Getting rid of other groups of people in this country is not going to make this country better. It's not going to make your life better. It's not going to make you better. I think white people are so scared to talk about race and to talk about white violence and white supremacy because they don't want to connect themselves to it. We don't want to feel like we're a part of the problem. But unless you're acknowledging the reality of how the US, this country, runs, you are a part of the problem. I truly believe in my heart, in my soul, that if you're born a white person in this country or on this planet, but I'll just speak about this country, part of that journey is to dismantle systems that have been built to oppress other people. The hard work of life is to confront yourself. How do I benefit from the way that things are? And how does my benefiting from those things harm other people? And instead of walking around with, 1,000-pound bag of shame on your back, consider it your responsibility to do that work. Consider it an opportunity that you are in the best possible position to make this world a better place by not accepting racist and prejudiced and oppressive systems for what they are and trying to contribute to changing them. Use the privilege that you have for good. I don't think that anybody can ever really love themselves without being honest about themselves, without being honest with themselves. And that work is painful and hard, but it's so worth it. White people, you don't have to consciously think that you're better than other people in order to contribute to harm against them. All it takes to contribute to harm is to stay silent and disengaged. White people, can we finally get this shit right? Can we finally take accountability? Can we finally look ourselves in the mirror and decide that this isn't good enough? We're not doing a good enough job. You aren't losing because somebody else is safe and cared for. You aren't losing because somebody different than you exists. White people, let's talk about it. Let's start having these conversations. with ourselves and with each other. It's time.
And there you have it, man. I just thought I'd put together a small compilation because I didn't want it to be just black people, saying this, because it's real easy for people to take an angle about certain things like this. Point is, right, they're just calling out the things that we've been saying, right? And it's always good for, non-black person, white person to speak on these things, because when we do it, it's like nobody hears us and we're just complaining. We're not complaining, it's not that hard to be responsible for your thinking, right? And no one's blaming everyone for this. That's your own guilt. You have to deal with that. If you haven't addressed it and you feel like someone's blaming something on you, that's your own guilt. We're not responsible for you feeling guilty, okay? You can't make me feel guilty about something that has nothing to do with me. I can be responsible, learn, and I can go about doing things the right way from that. Doesn't mean I have to feel guilty. If you feel guilty, that's because you're not looking within yourself and you're trying to project outwards. But I thought it was pretty cool that you have these people actually calling out the things that are happening amongst your own people, right? And it's good. We need more of this. Thank you to the creators. You can obviously see that this came from their TikTok videos. Please go and like their content. Big shouts out to them, because this is huge, and it's a small gesture, but it's big for everyone because it's a big step in the right direction. I know things could look a little bleak, a little not too pleasing nowadays, but it's always refreshing to see at least some people are willing to take action into doing the right things. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you agree or disagree? And why do you disagree? And please keep it civil. Don't be ignorant. I will block you from this channel with no problem. You will be posting on the comment section and nobody will be able to see it but you, literally. So like, comment, share, be respectful. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.